Okay, good morning, y'all. Hope y'all are doing good. Today we're doing a virtual class since you have that meeting in the afternoon. Um, so let's just jump right in. So this section that I gave you, you all should have it. If not, I'm going to post it as a PDF, and I want you to attempt to do it before you watch this video. There are 8 questions, so that means you have 8 minutes to do it. So time yourself, and at the end of the 8 minutes, see what question you're on, and then give an attempt to everything. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So a set of all positive integers that are divisible by both 15 and 35 is infinite. What is the least positive integer in this set? So basically this problem is asking what number is divisible both by 15 and 35 and is the lowest number. So to start off, this could kind of give you a headache if they didn't already give you the answers over here. So we can just look at these choices and be like, oh, okay, let's see what we can do. Well, first of all, 5 divided by 15. 5 cannot go into 15. So automatically that's wrong. 5 can go into 50. But if you stick that in your calculator, go ahead and stick that in your calculator, you get like 3 point something, 3.3 something, I think. Automatically that's wrong because you're looking for something that gives you a whole number, not a decimal. 105. You divide that both by 15. Let's see what we get here. Oh, let me go back. 105. Divide that both by 15. Let's see what we get. Let me pull up my calculator. And you get 7. Okay, great. That works. 105 divided by 35. Your answer is 3. That works. Okay, great. We don't have to look any further. That's our answer. Okay. So now number 25. This is geometry, so we're going to pull some theorems and think about it. In ABC shown below, the measure of A is 58 degrees. A is congruent. AB is the same length as AC. That's what this means. AB is the same length as AC. So I drew these lines. Hopefully this is coming back to me from geometry. What is the measure of C? Okay, so does anyone remember what this type of triangle is called, where 2 of the sides are the same? It is called an isosceles triangle. In an isosceles triangle, the 2 sides are the same and the 2 bottom angles are also the same. Therefore, whatever C is, B is also C. So, knowing this, all the angles add up in a triangle. So, B plus angle C plus angle A all add up to 180. Knowing this, I know that 2 of them, these are the same, so I can just make this 2x plus 58 is equal to 180, right? Then I subtract 58 from both sides. And that gives me, 1 second please, 122 is equal to 2x. Then I divide 2 by both sides. And x is equal to 61. D. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's all that problem is. And you don't have to make an equation, you can just think about it. If you know that this is 180, you can subtract 58 from it, and you're like, okay, these angles are the same. That means I can split whatever I got from that subtraction number, I can split that in half, and that will be angle C. Okay, this one is blech. So about this number, square meters of the Earth's surface is land. The rest is about this much, is water. Okay? If the returning space capsule lands at a random point on Earth's surfaces, which of the following is the best estimate of the probability that the space capsule will land in water? So this is a probability problem, right? And we already talked about probability. If a space capsule lands on a random point on the surface, which is the probability that it will land on water? So we're going to do probability, part over whole. Here, our part is, what are we looking for? Landing in water. So that's 3.6. We're looking for water over the whole Earth. So you can do 3.63 times 10 to the 8th, and then 1.48 times 10 to the 8th plus 1. Oh, that's wrong. Plus 3.63 times 10 to the 8th. Right? And so you can stick this in your calculator, and when you put it in your calculator, you're going to want to make sure you put parentheses around each of these, and then even a parentheses around this one, right? So that's the way you want to plug it into your calculator. Being crunch on time, there's something about this problem that you really don't see, and this is what happens. This is what they do for the first 30 problems. They'll try to, you can either plug it in your calculator like this, or you can see that both of these are times to the 8th. So whenever you stick it into a division problem, those automatically cancel out. They cancel out. So really this problem is just 3.63, 1.48 plus 3.63, because these are the same. So they just cancel out. It's like when you have something divided by something down here, basically, these cancel out. It's the same concept, right? This is the same concept. So this is a lot easier, and you can just stick that in your calculator. So let's just do the bottom 1.48 plus 3.63 is 511 to 3.63 divided by 511. And that gives me 0.71, which is 0.3, which is equal to 71%, right? So for percentages, we move the decimal over 2 places. I don't round this because they don't give me anything rounded, so it's 7. All right, y'all. So I found out that I can only record 10 minutes because I did not get the pro version. So we're gonna redo everything. We're gonna pick up where we left off. We left off on 27, and so basically back to what I was saying. We're gonna figure out how to do this easier. Okay, we're not gonna have to plug in everything to find a mean. It's just gonna be a lot easier. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look. So Jamal scored all these test scores. And then from these test scores, this is his mean, medium, and mode. And then on the 8th test score, Jamal scored a 90. How does his new medium, mode, and mean compare to his old one? So let's look. The mean, we know, is going to increase. Why? Because his current mean is 79. Okay? And his new test score is 90. Whenever you add this to these numbers, that's going to increase his mean because his new score is higher than his mean. So that means it will increase it. So that means automatically we can cancel out A. Mean, medium, means we're trying to find a thing in the middle, okay? So when it comes to medium, currently our medium, let's see what it is. You start by canceling out both ends. Well, first of all, you start by putting everything in order. Then you cancel out both ends, and you keep going until you find the middle number, which is 80. Okay, so now let's add our number 90. 61, 76, 79, 80, 80, 84, 90, 91. So you just do the same thing, and you're left with 2. You're not left with a medium number. So what do? We find the average of these both of these numbers. You add them up, divided by 2, which is the average, which is equal to 80. We just should have seen that coming, but I just wanted to show you how to find the average. And so our mean is 80. So did that change? No, it didn't. So that means we can cancel out B and that one. Okay. Our mode is describing the numbers that repeat multiple times. given our new score, we're going to add, basically put the 90 here. What number repeats more than twice? None. What number repeats twice? Only 80 does. So therefore our mode is 80. So we can cancel out t. That leaves us with e. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next problem. So we're going to get started again. I'm going to erase this so we can take another look at it. Hopefully this time we won't have another interruption. And we can get this done in 10 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to look at multiplying matrices. When it comes to multiplying matrices, there are two rules you want to think about. First of all, you want to make sure you're multiplying them the right way, x and y. Make sure you have them in the right order. Then you want to look at the rows and columns. How do you name matrices? Well, it goes row times column. So this row has one row, but two columns. And this one has two rows, but one column. When it comes to multiplying your matrices, this one we have a 1 by 2 and a 2 by 1, right? X times y. Oh, it's supposed to be a 1. These middle numbers that connect them should be the same. If they are not the same, you cannot multiply your matrices. And that will leave you with the last two numbers, will leave you with your new matrices. Okay? And when we multiply matrices, we're going to be multiplying, I'm going to give you an example here of a 2 by 2 and another 2 by 2. We have x, y, well, let's change our variables. I don't like these variables. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. When you multiply matrices, first of all, you double check to make sure that your matrices have the same middle number, which they do. And this matrices will leave us with a 2 by 2. So you take this number, the row, and you multiply it by, the first column. Then you take, and that should give you your first number over here. Okay? So it's A times B plus A. Oh, I did that wrong. It should be A times A plus B times C. And then you do the same thing, but with a new row. And you just keep going over and over until you get it right, until you make a new matrices. And so then this would be A times B plus B times D. And you just keep doing that. So let's go back to our problem. If you have any more questions about matrices, come and see me and I will describe it better. So this is our row times our column, okay? So we have -1 times 2, which leaves you with 2, plus 0 times -1, which anything times 0 is just 0. So that leaves you with 2. So this matrices is now just 2. Because there's supposed to be a 1 by 1, remember? Okay. So now we have the next problem. One side of the square, ABCD, has a length of 20 meters. Okay, here's our square, and it has a side of 12 meters. There's a certain rectangular whose area is equal to the area of the square, and it has 8 meters. Okay, so now we're looking for the length. So I know that our areas are the same. That means the insides are the same. Okay, so to find the area of the square, we just do 12 times 12, because all the sides of a square are the same. So length times width, which is 12 times 12, which is 144. So our length times our width here is equal to 144 because our areas are the same, remember? So now I just divide both sides by 8, and our length is, great question, I have no idea. Let's see, 144 divided by 8. Our length is 18. Boom. Okay, I'm gonna erase the bottom of these numbers so we can read the next problem. Okay, so our average numbers, the list of four numbers is equal to 92. There's another list of numbers, of four numbers, and the first three numbers are the same on this as the original list, but the fourth number is 40 in the original list, and the fourth number in the new list is 48. What is the average for this new list of numbers? Okay, well, first of all, we know that we have three numbers are the same, so we just have just some random x's plus 40 is equal to 92, right? But divided by 4 because it's an average, right? So then our next one, I know that these first three numbers are also the same, right? So these are the same. So I can lump these together because they're the same thing. So let's just lump them into 3x. It doesn't really matter what we lump them as because, once again, they're the same thing. So in this equation, we're going to make this question mark a y, okay? We have two variables. We can't solve this equation because there's two variables. This equation only has one variable. Let's solve for x, and whatever we get for x, we can plug in over here, right? We don't even have to have a 3. We can just make this x, honestly. We can just make this x. So why am I just making this x? Because the first three numbers are the same for both equations. That means it doesn't matter what they are. They're just one thing, right? It's just one thing and they're both the same on both sides. It's kind of the same concept of like dividing, right? It's kind of that same concept. This is kind of the same concept, okay? So now I have this new equation, x40 divided by 4 is equal to 90. So let's figure out what x is, what those three numbers, what the sum of those three numbers is, basically. This is the sum of the first three numbers, okay? So that's what we're going to figure out. The sum of the first three numbers are what? So to do that, I have to multiply by 4 on both sides. So 92 times 4 is, excuse me, x plus 40, 368. And so then I could subtract 40. So our sum, and I'm going to move this down. Move it down here for right now. Our sum is now going to be equal, x is equal to 368 minus 40, 328. That is the sum of the first three numbers. Great. So now that I know the sum of the first three numbers, I can find my average, right? I know that the sum of the first three numbers is 128 plus 48, and literally just divide that by 4, and that should give me my new average. H. Okay, great, easy peasy. So vector I represents 1 mile per hour east, and vector J represents 1 mile per hour north. Maria is jogging south at 12 miles per hour. Which of the following represents Maria's velocity in vectors? Maria's velocity in miles per hour. Okay, so first of all, we want to do, well, first of all, one of the following vectors represents Maria's velocity in miles per hour. Okay, so first of all, we want to figure out, so north, east, south, west. An easy way to remember this is that never eat sour watermelon. So when it comes to vectors, we know that vector I is going east for 1 mile per hour. This is I. Vector J is going north, and I'm actually going to move this over here so we can get a better, more writing space. It's going north for 1 mile per hour. This is J. Maria is going south for 12 miles per hour. So when it comes to vectors, whenever I add a negative, it flips it upside down. So here, the opposite of the south is north, which is J. So I can go J, negative J. And that means that this vector here flips across this imaginary x-axis. So now we're going south. Negative J, and she's going 12 miles per hour, and since J is only 1 mile per hour, you can just do negative 12J. And so your answer is B. Okay, that's all I got for you this week. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see y'all next week. I will not see you on Sunday, for I'm going out of town. But yeah, if you have any questions, save them for next Tuesday, and hope to see y'all soon.